We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're gonna get kicked out of being number 2, you're gonna go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 of our 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist Perspective, bringing you those Freedmen hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. And today, family, it is my esteemed pleasure to bring to you the brilliant, talented Arthur Ward from Chicago Freedmen. Yes, he's got a strategy for how we now have to pivot to, in fact, defeat H.R. 40. Yes, family, you've got Black immigrants running our reparations and locking freedmen out of access to our own reparations table, won't entertain our phone calls, won't entertain our edits, and let them tell it they're very close to getting the necessary signatures to pass this nothing burger of a bill through. Good afternoon, Swanee G. I see you, family. Such Ohio. Thank you for joining the live. And for those of you who have yet to share where you're swinging and slinging bricks on behalf of Freedmen, I welcome you one and all. Thank you for joining the live Facebook and Twitter. I cannot see you. If you would like to be co-host in the chat so I can see you and give you a shout out, you must do so from Screw to. Yes, family. So I'm bringing Arthur Ward up so he can help me unpack how, they're grifting off of reparations, akin to what they did with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. I'm going to bring to you a whole nother segment to talk about the current bills to expand stand your ground laws to give these glacier donkeys the right to execute us at protest without having to prove anything. And I'm going to bring another segment to you about the Missouri 666 bill that's also seeking to make it legal to lynch freedmen specifically, given the upset over the Glacier Donkey McMichaels and Bryant, who are now serving life sentences for lynching our brother Ahmaud Arbery. Okay? So that's going to be a separate segment, but I'm just making the case that you've got these Democrats who are grifting off of our reparations while trying to guarantee that A, anything that comes of it, that they too get to be tethered to that. B, that there's no cash attached. C, that they get $12 million. Okay? And that D, Naarc Ncobra, Pan-Africanist groups run by Black immigrants get to disperse whatever comes of it. But without further ado, let me intro whom I to be believed to be an expert on the subject, Mr. Arthur Ward, Chicago Freedmen. Thank you so very much for joining the live, my brother.
How you doing, Angela? It's always nice to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's an honor and a privilege to be in this fight with you.
Yeah, it's a fight. It's not only a fight with the external forces, but also a fight with the internal forces who are with us and sometimes are unfocused and distracted. But
yes,
but we need to at this point our focus needs not to be on talking on Twitter about subjects regarding who's an Indian. I've seen that stuff.
Come on, distractions, grifts.
Big distractions. They and Naarc and Ncobra and the oppositionist forces are just watching us go at each other, being distracted by our own distractions while they're moving right along trying to get this damn bill passed. We need to get back on focus. And the three things that we need to do, well, the first thing that we need to do is understand that HR 40 is very close to being passed. They just need like 3 votes.
So
three co-sponsors.
So are they really 3 votes shy? Have you checked?
About three co-sponsors shy before the Judiciary Committee releases it and allows it to go to the floor. Okay. And they're working really hard at that. At the same time, we have not been working. We, the people that are in the specific camp, have not been working hard on contacting our legislators. See, the thing is, what people got to understand is that Naarc and Ncobra have influence in the congressional halls, but they're a small group. They're a small group of people in comparison to the rest of us. But at the same time, they may have influence, but we freedmen have to understand that we have the keys to whether or not these people have a job. Okay. Excuse me. It gets down to that. And, myself, I talk to relatives, my neighbors, friends, random people out in the streets about how reparations should be rendered. And 100%, when I bring up the possibility of Caribbeans and Africans being tethered to a possible reparations bill, it's a vehement no. And if it's not a vehement no, it's like they're thinking, it's like, that really doesn't make sense. Matter of fact, yeah. That just this past week, I was at my UPS store. I always, I mean, my mail comes to the house, but usually I have all my packages go to the UPS store, just because sometimes we're just not here. And I was there picking up my packages, right? And this particular UPS store is owned by Freedmen. It's all Freedmen employees. And I was talking to them about contacting their congressman about HR 40. And they was like, what's that? So I'm standing there explaining things to them. And then this Jewish couple came in. Is a husband and a wife, okay? And I didn't know they were in back of me listening to what I was saying. And then when I was finished and I was about to leave, the wife in the couple, she stopped me. She says, sir, I don't want to interrupt you or take too much of your time. But is that true what you were saying about HR 40? And I said, yes, ma'am, that's really what's going on. And then she told me that she's Jewish. She told me that her whole synagogue supports reparations, and they were spoken to about reparations by an individual from Ncobra, okay? And she said, well, that's true. That's really bad. She says, because it doesn't make sense for the reparations that are really supposed to be for your, and she said, your antecedents, to go to people that just got it. That doesn't make sense. And when the person from Ncobra talked to us, they didn't say anything about that. That's what their intentions were. So they have some kind of political club in their synagogue. And she asked me to come onto their Zoom next Friday to talk to them about this. She said, because if that's the case, many people in my synagogue would be highly upset. So it's not just us.
Absolutely.
It's other people too that don't understand what these organizations are doing. So
let me slow you down right there real quick.
Right.
I've got so many trolls just cutting a fool up in here, and I can't even block them. It's crazy. I used to be able to block it. But anyway, let me slow you down a second. I want you to share with my audience what HR 40 is. But before you do, I want to share, Black Diamond couldn't be here with us today, but she did share something very vital to our conversation that I'd like to share the screen to show the audience how absurd it is that Black immigrants, the African ones that descend from slave traders, and the Caribbean ones who've got CARICOM, how insane it is that they're really working hard right now to get HR 40 passed through Naarc Ncobra, which ties them to our repair. How ridiculous it is, because they are claiming they don't intend to share any of CARICOM with us.
Right.
So let me share that Twitter that Black Diamond so graciously sent to my email. And then we're going to get into, I just want to show you guys how ridiculous this is, because they are totally against tying freedmen to CARICOM while they're screaming that they deserve to be a party to our reparations. So stand by. Let me share the screen. Okay, so here you see Tyreek Nasheed. Shout out to Tyreek for tweeting. This is Vereen Shepard. She is the vice chair of CARICOM a reparations commission that excludes foundational Black Americans. We refer to it as freedmen. Okay, it's referred to as B1, FBA, ADOS, ADOX, BADOX. Freedmen defines all of it. All right. She is complaining that FBA aren't including Caribbeans in our reparations claim. So let's just hear it from the horse's mouth.
The impression down here is that Caribbean people who live in the United States, Black people, would not be entitled to any reparation paid by the US government. But we are saying that's not right. We are saying that's divisive of the Black population in the United States. We are saying that Caribbean immigrants have been harmed by that system through racial profiling, discrimination.
See, the Black population in the US is pretty diverse. Most Black people are foundational Black Americans, meaning they're American descendants of enslaved people. Others are immigrants or the children of immigrants who came to the United States from mostly African and Caribbean countries. Those individuals may have ancestors who were enslaved, but wouldn't be considered eligible recipients for reparations in the United States.
Descendants of the enslaved have a claim that's linked directly to the failure to provide their ancestors with the promised 40-acre land grants. And that's uniquely a debt that is owed to the individuals who were enslaved and it was not met, and to their descendants.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, they're starting to be out front with this now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Well,
what do you have to say to that? But this is to your point that they aren't entitled, and yet it seems like since State Secretary Dr. Shirley Weber came onto the task force to share whom she intended for it in her legislation,
right,
and she got passed for the study.
Right.
It seems like they're doing a full court press.
Yes.
To disparage freedmen and to demand that they be attached. I'd like to hear from you.
Oh, wow. And it's not just a demand from the outside like this lady who is but she's also inside too. CARICOM and Black immigrants are in the fabric of reparations policy and management at this point too. Peter Braithwaite, we're always hearing about the Evanston situation, right? Peter Braithwaite is a Jamaican, and he's the chairman of the Evanston's reparations program.
Now, explain to my audience. I know that we, by and large, talk to other grassroots,
right?
But there are people that don't really know the inner workings of what's going on here. Explain. Let me tell this part, and then you explain about Peter. Family, Evanston is being touted as the first city in Illinois to pass reparations. Well, what they don't tell you is that it's nothing more than a housing voucher. And if you join my task force meetings, I shared at the top of the hour that this is a housing voucher for a down payment or repairs, that the majority of the people living in Evanston are Black immigrants, that about 16 people even qualify. But even more egregious is that the median home price is around $325,000 with a median income of $38,000, which means freedmen would not even qualify for a home loan. So for them to be trying to tout this with the help of Black immigrants, who by and large are the predominant majority in Evanston, and as Arthur Ward just shared, the head of those reparations is Peter Braithwaite, who is a Black immigrant family.
That's
These
right.
are the grifts, and this is not reparations.
That's right.
Arthur, could you finish sharing with my audience? You can add to what I've just shared and expound on that, please.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, but Peter Braithwaite and the people that are in Ncobra here in Chicago are actively trying to get more Black immigrants involved with their movement, and also being beneficiaries of reparations as far as a local reparations program. They're trying to get one off the ground in the city of Chicago itself, that's of the same nature. Also, the thing is too, is like, you got to understand what reparations is. Reparations are in any form should never be attached to a loan or any kind of instructions, okay? Reparations, other than, let's say, maybe part of a reparations program that would go to a community for community purposes, should never have any kind of rules attached to it. No more than, let's say, if your grandmother died and she left her life insurance to you, you get the insurance proceeds, but you don't get any instructions as to how to spend the money. If you have a settlement of any kind, you never get any kind of instructions as to what to do with your money. Reparations is the same thing. It's not a program for people that are low income. It's not a poverty program. It is a debt. That's why even Oprah, even LeBron James is eligible for reparations, even though they are high net worth individuals. It has nothing to do with their present net worth.
Can you
Or,
also add that reparations is not just because you're Black? It's not a skin color thing.
No, it's not a skin color thing. It's a lineage thing. Lineage meaning what happened to you, not your particular genetic makeup. Because if it was based on that, we'd be messed up because of the slave rape and other genetic admixtures. You know, Black people that are descended from American slavery actually have the least average amount of African genetics of all the people in the diaspora. You look around the typical Black community, we're all kinds of colors. Okay, we got some people that are only maybe 20% African, but they still claim Black. Okay, so we can't go by that. But this is where we are. Some of this is mostly because a lot of Black people don't pay attention to their politics. So
that's a large part of it.
Yeah, that's a very large part of it. So those that are more politically inclined and politically active can take advantage. But using our power of the vote, using our power of engagement with our congressional representatives will turn the tides and take that power away from them. Their only power politically is HR 40. If we destroy HR 40, Naarc and Ncobra are finished. We don't have any time for these side conversations or these other subjects that people want to deal with on Twitter. Everything that happens on Twitter, Instagram, and all these other platforms that people go back and forth on should be about getting more community awareness, getting more understanding, and also action. And in this case, action is your phone. It's not marching. It's not out in the street protesting. It is the phone.
Your phone and your email.
Yes, the phone and your email. Those two vehicles that people be kikiing and ha-ha-ing about. I got Indian in my... No, you need to be calling your congressman.
Okay, let me slow you down, my brother. I want you to do a couple things for me. I want you to explain briefly what HR 40 is. I want you to explain how Sheila Jackson Lee, as a descendant of Black immigrants, being over it and allowing Naarc and Ncobra seats at our reparations table without allowing our edits is problematic. And I want you to share what's problematic about Naarc and Ncobra as Pan-Africanist groups who believe everybody should receive reparations, and the problem with the fact that in the current HR 40, they are going to be left in charge of our HR 40 to disperse to us whatever comes of it, as if we don't know how to receive direct deposits.
Right.
Let me just take a breath there, because the last thing I want you to address is how empty that HR 40 is, how there's no cash attached, and how they want to pay the commission $12 million. The only edit we got through there was the timeline. They at least can't study it into perpetuity the way they were initially intending, to grift off of this till, like they've grifted off the Black Lives Matter Global Federation. The Democrats have used that as a way to raise money for themselves through Act Blue. But let me slow down and let you deal with what I've asked for one at a time. Did you need me to walk you through it more slowly?
No,
I've asked so much of you just now.
All right. Well, what HR 40 is right now is the bill that is there to study reparations proposals. It's to create a commission so that it can study and come up with reparations proposals. Now, the way that it is structured, Angela, actually they can do it in perpetuity. What? Yes, they can.
I thought they said 18 months.
No, 18 months, but they can still see. There's rules on the floor that, let's say, the commission can go on to 18 months. That doesn't stop them from adjourning the commission short, let's say in 12 months. Okay. So if they do it short of 18 months, that means they can go back, say, hey, we need to continue this, and they can do this year after year after year. Okay. So I got that from looking at the latest version of the bill. Secondly, it does not specify in the bill who should get reparations. That's an open question, and that's where the trick bag is. You have to look at HR 40 in terms of the way Naarc and Ncobra are working is as Part A and Part B. Part A is the HR 40 construction itself, which enables them to legally come up with what they feel is a reparations proposal that's favorable for them. And then Part B, and this is where you have to go onto their website, is who should receive reparations and in what forms. There, it totally spells out their true intentions. Once they get a commission going, that's where everything that they want to do is spelled out. And there was nothing in the bill that stops them from doing this. For example, I'll read you a direct quote. We strongly affirm the right of all people of African descent in the U.S. to receive reparations, irrespective of when they arrived here or their country of origin. And I always tell people anything is legislatively possible. May not be constitutional, but it's legislatively possible. Just like what they're doing in New York with trying to make green card people eligible to vote, even though they're not citizens. You know, if it's not challenged, it can happen. The other thing too that is very, very important, and this is why there's a openness problem. Here, let me go get to it real quick. Now, you know, when the Japanese had their hearings, they had 9 hearings in 9 different cities, and they were all open to the public. All of their deliberations were open to the public. Their transcripts were available to anybody that wanted a transcript. They were open to suggestions and modifications and so forth. Here, and the other thing, you thought you were saying that that they were going to get $12 million for their commission, right? No.
Yeah.
The Congressional Budget Office produced a new cost estimate for HR 40, and they did that on May 17, 2021, which raised their available spending to $20 million. Yeah. Even though in the present form of HR 40, it still says 12 million because that's as per the last markup. the real spending that they're going to set aside if it passes will be 20 million. Okay.
Okay. That is, but to me, it goes the same as you just mentioned about
Exactly.
the timeline.
Right.
They can always extend the timeline. They can always grift off this to get their
Exactly.
pockets more lined, even though our tax dollars pay them a salary to be in office. They want 20 million while studying a cashless reparations for all blacks in the country.
Right. And subsection D in HR 40, along with the language contained in the congressional cost estimate, it actually opens the door for Naarc Ncobra's African and Caribbean professional allies to collect through retained consultancies, contracts with Pan-African run nonprofits, and the production of scholarly research and reports by credentialed or recognized individuals. Actually, they plan to extract every penny of that appropriation with no reparations happening as a result. And then they want to repeat that the following year. They want to do this for at least 3 to 4 years.
So let me get this straight. That 20 million, what's up, OG? That I see you, Brian. I see you, Trey. Let me shout out my loves. OL Griffin, Miss Powell, Martin Norwood. Oh my gosh, LD Ward, Satch Ohio, Swanee G. Listen, family, it feels good to have y'all over here helping us to chop this up and to get these action items from Arthur Ward, Chicago Freedmen.
Right.
We definitely need to take action. I'm not going to be sitting over here on this particular broadcast or any of my broadcasts trauma bonding with you without offering a solution. Okay,
Right.
so we will get into those solutions momentarily. But what I heard just now from you, Arthur, is that this 20 million will pay the likes of Naarc and Ncobra to not deliver any tangibles. They're just going to study this to line their own organization's pockets, while we get left holding the bag.
Exactly.
So our tax dollars will pay them 20 million for them to never deliver on reparations.
Well, now you got to remember that 20 million is extra. That's besides the GS-18 pay that they're going to be collecting while sitting on the commission. And also, remember now, this is just for it passing. If it passes in the House, then that means that the commission is a House commission. Doesn't necessarily mean that once they, let's say by some miracle that the House passes this bill or passes the proposals that they come up with, it don't mean it's going to happen in the Senate. As a matter of fact, they count on it not happening in the Senate. You know why? Because another commission can be created.
But then how in the world can it pass at all without the Senate?
No. This is a House bill. It's a House bill. House.
So they don't need the Senate
to get
this done?
No, they don't need, not to create a House commission. This is all on the House side.
And they don't need cinema nor mansion?
No, not see, in order for it to become law and real reparations be expended, it has to go to the Senate and be passed as well. But they know that it has it's not going to happen in the Senate. But as long as they can get the commission passed in the House, then they're making all this money with no reparational result. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
oh my
so
God.
in other words, the process is like this. Okay, they pass, the judiciary gets the necessary amount of co-sponsors. It goes to the floor. Let's say it passes in the House. In the House. The commission is formed. Then all of these things start happening. They do the study, they get paid, then all these consultants going in, and they come up with a reparations proposal. Then the reparations proposal goes to the Senate, where it's not going to pass. where
But
no
they've
reparation.
already, and they know it's not going to
They
pass.
know it's not going to pass.
So it's a grift. Like
Right.
they want millions of dollars to line their own pockets for a bill that they know will never pass Senate, which includes all blacks.
Right. Oh my God. In the meantime, you notice all of these consultancies like Robin Ruth Simmons, who used to be the 5th Ward Alderman in Evanston, Ron Daniels asked her not to run again. You know why? So that she could be the fresh face of reparations. She's the marketing piece for reparations, for these local reparations things. They helped her to construct this organization called First Repair. First Repair concentrates on local reparations in helping cities and counties to develop local reparations programs so that the Democrats have something to show. You understand what I'm saying? Also, these organizations have at least 1 to 2 people that are handpicked by Naarc Ncobra to be involved permanently in whatever constructions they're able to get passed in these cities. Now they've gone further. Earlier, and we talked about this before, about this National Reparations Trust Authority that they want to create. Just in case. Now remember, you got to understand, getting HR 40 passed is plan A. That's the whole plan to keep this thing going. Commission after commission after commission after commission. But just in case reparations does happen, we don't want a Freedmen's Bureau to happen. Do you know why? Because all the money will be bypassed. This like the Bureau of Indian Affairs, right? That takes care of the various arrangements that they have with different Indian American tribes. The Bureau just makes sure that everything is copacetic, that all the rules are being followed, and any new policies are implemented, but they don't handle money. My son Richard, has an Indian American girlfriend. She owns an apartment building in one of the nicer areas in Chicago. One of her tenants is an American Indian girl. She's 24 years old. She gets a check from the Treasury. You know, like when we used to get our tax refunds, what did it say at the top, Angela? United States Treasury, right? She gets her $7,000 a month, tax-free, in Indian reparations via her tribe, coming directly to her mailbox. That's how she pays her rent. And she doesn't do anything. She also gets a second check of varying amounts every month as well, because not every month, every quarter, of varying months as well, because her tribe is one of those tribes that runs casinos. So she gets a piece of those profits.
Those
every 3 months.
Yeah, those Cherokees get anywhere from $1,000 to $30,000 a month off of those tax-free casinos.
Right.
That Jim Clyburn was very proud of the Catawba bill that he managed to get signed into law.
Right.
To give more land and more tax-free casinos to the Catawba Indians who once enslaved us.
Right.
And who have a bunch of $5 white Indians sitting on the board. They're making upwards of $13,000 a month.
Right. And see, the thing is like, the other thing too, is like, they don't want a Freedmen's Bureau to happen just in case reparations happens. Create revenues. Yeah, this is true. That's correct. That's from OG Griffin. Yeah. But they don't want that. They don't want that to happen in the way Japanese, when they get their reparations from the government, it comes in the form of a treasury check. It doesn't go through an organization. But And if you understand how nonprofits work, when money is given to that nonprofit, anywhere between 16 to 50% of that money goes to administration and management costs. So if you got a national authority, a national reparations authority at the top, between 16 to 50%, and then it's filtering money down to a state reparations authority, 16 to 15%. Then it goes to a local reparations authority, 16 to 50%. By the time it gets to you, and they also want you to make out an application to get reparations through the authority, through your local authority. So by the time it gets to the local authority, ain't gonna be that much left.
And that is all by design.
That's all by design. So this is also a way for them to get around the immigrant issue. Okay. You gotta understand. I'm gonna. Right now, we have immigrants all in the reparations space. You got Peter Braithwaite, who is the chairman of the Evanston reparations grift. Okay. Then you have a Naarc, Ajo Amazo. She's a Naarc commissioner. She was born in Togo. That's in Africa. You have Lionel Jean-Baptiste, born in Haiti. He's a Naarc commissioner. He's also a Cook County Circuit judge here in the Chicago area. He also lives in Evanston. You also have Naarc Commissioner Yvette Modestin. She was born in Panama. She spends half her time here and she spends half her time home in Panama because she's still a Panamanian citizen. Naarc Administrator Don Rojas. He was born in St. Vincent in the Caribbean. These are some of the people that are shaping our reparations policy.
And Julia Malveaux. Who was on Roland Martin's segment that the Black Authority was unpacking. It was a response video. She, out of her own mouth, said that she's of Haitian descent.
Wow.
Now you can't, family, the grift is now that these Black immigrants are taking over government, our reparations, our communities. They are being paid to replace us. You just saw the chart. I thought we were 90-10 in terms of freedmen versus Black immigrants. It looks like we're 82-18 from that graph that was just shown. So laying the foundation for local reparations. What's that you're flashing?
This is written by Cam Howard.
Oh my God, scary.
Who is the head of Ncobra. And they have this chart inside as to how Evanston reparations are being distributed. And one of the distributions is support money for Caribbean American activities.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to understand that the new grift is to scrub the internet of these first gens in this country. Specifically, they're scrubbing the internet and running for office where you cannot find the parents' lineage,
right? Because
they see us in the grassroots becoming more clear about their plans to replace us with Black immigrants. You hear it in all the conversations where even our history is being immigrant washed. Biden was the first to tell, the would-be civil rights leaders that you might as well get comfortable dealing with Hispanics. They're literally trying to set the stage to whitewash the history to make people believe that immigrants built the wealth they eat from. All the while flooding the country with refugees and immigrants alike. And now they're whitening the browning of the country with Asians, Indians, Kamala's people, right? And Latin Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're overwhelming us with immigrants because we are awakening as freedmen. We're not just turning out to the polls to vote blue no matter damn who anymore. The gig is up.
Right.
We're tired of being used as the mules while they weaponize and grift off of all of our Holocaust.
Right.
Every issue that plagues our community, the Democrats have used till they can't anymore. This last grift, where they pretty much Jim Clyburn carried water to get Biden in, who bought in Kamala, which is why you see their numbers in the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they weren't the people's choice. Kamala was running fourth in her own presidential race here in California because she untethered us as the AG, locked up many of our brothers and sisters. She locked up the sisters for the truancy, that the kids were truant. Then she went after the Black mothers. She went after the Black men for nonviolent offenses like peddling drugs, which the state now turns a profit. So what they're doing, the other grift that you need to be made aware of, is that they're running for a high political office to take over the government, but they're scrubbing where they descend from to keep us sheep walking to the polls over complexion, like they did Barack Obama, like they did Kamala Harris, who ski-weed her way all the way to the White House, and then Biden backdoored her. So please know about these grifts, family.
Well, the Barack Obama, what happened was it worked beautifully up front, but on the back end, it kind of backfired a little bit on him, because when Black people started really figuring out that Barack Obama did nothing for us as far as policy is concerned, that's when they started doing some digging and reflecting. And now Kamala Harris and these other people, they're not looking so good. As a matter of fact, they're not looking good at all. And everybody's starting to wake up to what we're not getting in terms of us constantly putting the Democrats in power. Now, I'll tell you one person that did a really, really, really good job of scrubbing her family connections and history is that lady that's on the California task force, Attorney Lisa Holder. I've been digging, and can't find nothing on her. But I suspect that she's a Caribbean. The reason why is because, first of all, I'm looking at her physically. Caribbeans and Africans some people may push back on, but they got a certain look that's just not the same as us. Okay, that's number one. Also, her early college education took place in New York City and Connecticut, where there's a large concentration of people from Barbados. Okay. Also, her last name is Holder, and that's one of the top 10 most common surnames in Barbados. And the reason why I started looking at her is because of her positions. I'm listening to her talk on the commission, and she is oppositional to anything that would advance the legal cause for freedmen being the only recipients of reparations, be it in California or nationally. Then I found a quote from her that appeared in the December 9, 2021 edition of the Los Angeles Times. She said, and I'm quoting, "We do not fully evolve as empathetic beings as a community because of racism and injustice. So this process of truth and reconciliation is important to everyone: white people, Latinos, Black people, Asian people. We are all experiencing trauma because of the levels of anti-Blackness in society. So we as a people need a healing and restorative process to become better human beings." That's like, what? Wait a minute. All right, so white folks are experiencing trauma from anti-Blackness in society. How does that work?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she's also against Darity, Thomas Kramer. She doesn't want Chemerinsky to testify. She's against a lot of stuff that I was listening to. That made me. I said, wait a minute, is this broad Caribbean? Is she African? Where's she from? Because she sure ain't, you know. And so when I started doing digging, I can't find nothing. And she's a what I call a Barbados suspect. They all seem to have the same talking points. But back to HR 40. What is it that you wanted to ask me?
Well,
Angela?
I wanted you to share why Naarc and Ncobra and SHEILA Jackson Lee being left charge of HR 40, and you pretty
Oh,
much said your piece. Why it's destructive, given that they're Pan-Africanist organizations, given that there's a large amount of scrubbing that's happening because we're being hip to the game that you are allowing Black immigrants to lead on issues while locking freedmen out of these conversations, not entertaining our edits, not taking meetings with us, the whole 9 yards.
well, actually, let me tell you how SHEILA Jackson Lee got a hold of HR 40. Actually, John Conyers had a lot of help putting that together from an attorney that's actually, he's like, he should be like in his late 80s now. Robert L. Brock, who is a Black attorney in the Los Angeles area. He was brought into the reparations conversation by Queen Mother Moore. Okay. And John Conyers really liked the guy, and you know, actually Robert Brock and people like that are actually ones that put it in his head to do reparations. Then he also met Conrad Will, who was the head of Ncobra before Cam Howard. Now Conrad died. I think he died in 2020. Yeah, he died. You know, Conrad was here in Chicago. And when John Conyers was about to resign, Conrad will, because he had the Pan-African connection with SHEILA Jackson Lee, said she would be the best one to carry your bill once you leave Congress. And that's how that happened. Then SHEILA Jackson Lee, she's talking with Cam Howard. And then later on, Ron Daniels came into the mix. He became the brains of it. Before Conrad Will was the philosophical brains of reparations, Pan-African reparations. Then after he died, then it became Ron Daniels. So everything that Cam Howard does, everything that Robin Ruth Simmons does, actually comes from the mind of Ron Daniels. Okay, and so this is why we're seeing the whole thing transform, because in actuality, when it first started, when HR 40 first started, it was really just a study bill. Okay. And the first bill actually had more specificity in it than the one that we had now. Cam Howard is the main one, along with SHEILA Jackson Lee, to edit it into the form that we have now. And that's why it's so damn problematic, because it's a Pan-African oriented bill that's worded in such a way so that we can get around constitutional and rules constraints as far as like targeting race. Okay. So it's a lot of stuff that went on to bring HR 40 to the form that we have now. And now that people have a lot more clarity and a few more numbers as far as what direction this thing should go into, this is why we have the situation that we have now.
I appreciate you.
Somebody
too,
loves
KW.
me. I can't believe it.
We've got we've got more fans and supporters and comrades of our voices than we even know. Family, please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and if you feel so compelled, bless the broadcast. It does cost money, y'all. It costs lots of money to make sure I'm streaming to you in 3 different places. I'm trying to get more places to stream to, because we are at a mere lock now. Okay. We are
Well,
now at a mere lock. This beautiful 22. It's a whole nother segment. I don't mean to get off topic because we got a lot of comments I've been flashing on the screen that I do want to get to so that you can address my co-host in the chat. But we have a lot more love and support than we even know. People
you know what?
fighting us to have
I see one saying that we must address CARICON. No, we must address our congressman. That's where the power is.
That's the action item. So
yeah, that's the
let's
action.
get into why we need to pivot from trying to fix HR 40, as some of the people in the movement want to stay on that note, to decimating HR 40.
Right.
Could you please explain why we must? I mean, I think you have, but
yeah, but no, I did.
Add anything else to that?
No, we are beyond fixing HR 40. If you understand the process of how bills are the flow of bills in both the House and the Senate, once a bill goes through the markup process, which is already done, there is no fixing it.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is, because you had your chance. In other words, what they say in the committees will say, you had your chance, okay? And we did have our chance, but the people that were involved in those committees blocked purposely the Darity edits. They read the Darity edits into the congressional record, but they did not read the edits into the place where they really needed to be, which is into HR 40. So it's over. That fixing is over. If you're still talking about fix HR 40, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Period.
The point now is to target your congressmen that have sponsored HR 40. Also, the people that have not sponsored HR 40. Thank them for not sponsoring it, okay, and ask them not to, because the people that haven't sponsored it is the pool from which Naarc and Ncobra will get the necessary numbers, okay? The other people that you need to contact against HR 40 are people that are candidates that are running against the people that are already in congressional seats, okay? Because any one of those people may win. And also, and the secondary aspect is that you're creating a buzz in the political community that there's a large number of Black people out there that are against HR 40, and that may hurt them politically. It's just like, hey, even though my congressman, Bobby Rush, is retiring, I called his office, and I called the 3 candidates that's running for his seat too. They getting the message. So this is where we need to be on that kind of campaign. Also, encourage your neighbors, your family, your friends, your co-workers, okay? Even if they don't live in the same state. If you live in Ohio and your mama lives in Georgia, you get on a conference call, have her to call her congressman, and you will help her to talk to that congressman about getting his name off HR 40. That's what we need to be doing right now.
Well, Arthur, are you able to share some type of script? You see, when we called on people to fix HR 40, we provide them with a script.
Okay, I got a bullet point. The reason why I want you off of HR 40 is, number one, the lack of specificity in who should receive reparations.
Hold on. Slow down.
Okay.
Okay.
Number two, I don't appreciate the secrecy in deliberations and no access to transcripts.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay.
And three, The bill is driven by two Pan-African organizations that I don't approve of, which is Naarc and Ncobra. Their
Okay.
reparation. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You said the bill is
Is
driven.
driven by two Pan-African organizations.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I can't type that fast. I mean, not in this little chat thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bill is driven by two Hold on. Two Pan-Africanist organizations that I don't approve of.
Right. Which is Naarc and Ncobra.
Hold on.
Their reparations intent and direction is not good for us, period.
Their reparations
intent and direction is not good for us.
Okay. Can we share with the people that we're reaching out to that if they don't rescind their yes vote, or if they vote yes, that it could compromise their seat?
Right. That's the main thing. Because see, what we got to understand, you may not be politically sophisticated, you may not be in the halls, but because of the fact that that congressional seats are filled because of direct voting, no electoral college between you and the candidate, direct votes, every vote counts, you have the keys to their job.
Okay, I said, if you don't rescind, I think I spelled RESCIND. If you don't rescind your signature, this could threaten your seat because Freedmen don't want this.
We don't want this, right?
Okay. Well, family, Kia asked, do we have a bill to replace
That's coming
HR
soon.
40?
That's coming very, very soon.
Well, we already have one called the Repair Act.
Right.
If you visit,
but just to answer this person, it's like what I'm talking about, and we do have a bill, HR 1865, which that's gonna be part of our campaign, and that's coming soon. I'm gonna be talking to the NAASD this coming Wednesday about it. But this is just to keep it real simple, real bullet pointed, and real pointed for thousands of people, because everybody is not sophisticated enough to talk to people about bills. You understand what I'm saying? This is something that your mother can do. This is something that your basketball head brother can do. This is kind of like a mass thing. You understand? But it's necessary for everybody that you can get, including yourself, to contact your congressman. Contact your congressman, whether he sponsored it or not.
Yes, but I also want to add that we have a Repair Act already, and that we're already pushing. Okay, so I'm going to share where you can read that Repair Act that we are hoping will replace HR 40. I put the website in the link below, but for those of you who are tuning in from Twitter and Facebook, you should know that you should go and read that Repair Act at www.captaskforce.org.
Right.
And so you can at least start to review it, because this is what we're currently pushing. And I'm in support of this to replace the current HR 40. It's rich, and you must see it for yourself. So that's what we've got. Although I know Arthur and the Freedmen organizations he's associated with are working on things as well.
Yeah.
But you guys, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're about to do a big push and unify all organizations on this particular thing. Okay. But the thing is like, and this is what people have to understand. Just because you don't like a bill doesn't mean that you have to have something to replace it. The majority of bills have no replacement bills. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Right. But
Okay.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying, what
No, I'm
I
just
hear,
saying.
Kia,
Yeah,
what I
I'm just
hear,
saying in
Kia,
general. I'm just saying
right.
in
We don't
general.
need
Right.
it, but it's good to have because
Right. No,
now
it's
we
good
can
to
take it
have.
over
Right.
and
It's
we
good
can
to
get
have in
support
terms
on the
of the
Hill.
general, but what I'm just trying to lay out, this is for your cousin. She don't know nothing about politics, but she agrees with what you're saying. Let's call you Congressman Keisha. You
We'll
understand? She's
talk.
not, yeah,
No, the marching order definitely
yeah,
still has to happen.
right.
We've
That's what I'm
got to
saying.
decimate it. And guess what? We can't be afraid of how unpopular that's going to look like just because
Right.
our people are uninformed.
Right.
They
90%
need
of
to
bills
catch
that
up.
people,
Nobody has time for hurt
exactly.
feelings over
90% of
why we
bills
got to
that,
destroy
right,
HR 40.
right,
This
right.
is going to destroy us. We get one shot. So
Exactly.
we
Yeah,
can't
90% of
allow this
bills,
to go.
right, 90% of bills that people don't like don't have any replacement bills. Okay. They
Right.
say, I don't like this.
Kia, I hear you,
Yeah.
darling. She's saying that people are supporting reparations, so we need a
Yes,
replacement.
we do. But what I'm saying, what I'm giving you, Kia, is just for thousands and thousands of people who are not politically sophisticated.
Right.
People like us that worry about that, we can handle replacement marketing. But just for right now, this is what you need to do for the hundreds of people in your family who are not politically sophisticated. These are 3 bullet points that they can easily do, and they don't need to go into no long study about replacement bills because they won't know what they're looking at and they won't know what they're talking about. You
Real
keep it
talk.
short, simple, and straight.
I agree. And this is just no, it's very true. We have to do these things. We have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. Right
Exactly.
now, we do have some things in work. I already put the link to where you can read the Repair Act.
Mhm.
But know that there is an urgency right now, family. There's a sense of urgency surrounding Arthur Ward's very sound plan to get these Congress people's signature rescinded and to make sure those who have yet to sign on it don't. I typed it over here. So for Twitter and Facebook, you've got to come over to ScrewTube and check that out and take those talking points and get busy.
Right.
There are some times when everybody has to be a part of the movement. This is it.
Right.
So with that being said, Arthur, I wanted to go through a couple of the people's comments. Now,
Sure.
I've
Go
been
ahead.
flashing the comments on the screen, but Arthur hasn't been able to address it because he's been mid-thought. So let me go back and just do a few of the comments that stood out for me so that we can get out of here in a decent time. I don't really like
Right.
keeping you over
Long.
an hour,
Right.
but I did want to go through a couple of these.
Sure.
Yeah. Brian mentioned, let me go down to Jamaica, where the country is demanding reparations from the British government and expect equal restitution in the land wherein neither I nor my ancestors originated. That I wanted you to speak to that, how that's not even possible.
It's not
And I want
possible.
you to speak to how I want you to talk. This triggered something in my head because lots of people romanticize Africa as if it's a Wakanda for us. And they romanticize it in the sense that they don't see anything wrong with Africans who traded us into slavery get reparations. I want you to talk about how that's a lie and a misnomer, along with how hard it is for us to gain land and different things from the very continent that sold us into slavery, that not all of us were kidnapped, as people have been
No,
whitewashed to believe. And I
actually,
want you to deal with how, even if we were to go to the Caribbean, they would not
no.
make us a party to their CARICOM.
No, they will not make you a part of their CARICOM. They are hard and fast about that. And if you go to their website, they spell it out to you in plain English that reparations in the Caribbean are only for people that descended from Caribbean slavery there. they're not equivocal about it. Okay, Africa. Okay, let me tell you about Africa. I've been to more African countries than a lot of Africans. I've been to 14 countries in Africa. There is no Pan-Africanism going on in Africa, period. There is extreme tribalism going on. The majority of Africans don't even recognize the country that they live in. They only recognize their tribe. The only time that they talk about their country is when they come over here. But when you go over there, they don't say I'm Nigerian. They say I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba, I'm this, I'm that. That's how they roll. And they are quite antagonistic as far as their tribal purity. That's one of the reasons why right now there are 12 conflicts, intertribal conflicts going on in Africa right now, including the big one. The only one that we're hearing about is the one that's going on in Ethiopia, but there are 11 other tribal conflicts going on in Africa that we don't even hear about. There's nothing to pan about over there. That's why so many of them are trying to come here. You don't go to a place where the majority of people are trying to leave it. That's stupid.
So they're escaping their Holocaust,
right,
while coming over here to continue to use us to fight on the front lines of ours, while using the money that they descend from being descendants of slave traders,
right,
educated in London, come here and tether themselves to us as African Americans to get the come up on our education, to get position in high places, to now be 300 to 1,000 times more liquid than freedmen, all the while referring to us as akata and all this kind of foul, derogatory comments they like to make, buying into the white racist tropes of you guys are shiftless, lazy, no good, and no count, because they are in bed with our white oppressors, all the while having you fooled into believing that you were kidnapped. We had nothing to do with having
kidnapping,
slavery.
If you understand the history of the slave trade, a few people were kidnapped. But what happened when they was kidnapped? That actually made things bad between the European traders and the African royalty that was selling people. So if any kidnapping happened, believe me, it was like 1%. The rest of us were sold by the same Africans. Okay.
Exactly.
The other thing that I want you to get clear on, Pan-Africanism is something that was created out of American post-slavery trauma. Pan-Africanism is an American creation. Okay. And then Marcus Garvey is the one that helped to popularize the idea. He tried it in this country. Huh?
You mean the very Marcus Garvey that was in bed with the KKK?
Yeah, let me finish. He tried to raise that idea in his native Jamaica. Jamaicans weren't having it. So he came to America, where we were looking for something different to reconstitute ourselves against the kind of nonsense that we were going through during the egregious Jim Crow era. Okay. And then when the government finally found something to deport him on, when he went back to Jamaica, he was vilified by his own people. Then because the vilification was so bad, he eventually moved to England, and that's where he died. Pan-Africanism is a failed exercise, and it continues to be a failure now that it's injecting its poisonous philosophy into a straight and simple issue as American reparations. It's real simple. There's nothing complicated about American reparations. It's Naarc Ncobra that's complicating things, and they're making it the whole issue and conflating it into areas that it doesn't need to be.
And remember, family, Black Diamond was on last week, and she mentioned her going over to Africa and them having a ceremony to welcome her. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, she was only seen as a resource.
Exactly.
That's how the Africans see us, family. We are, they don't give a damn about us being made into the permanent bottom caste in this country, because it means that they've got access to whiteness. If you notice in the media, they're constantly giving the immigrant, the Black immigrant, a voice in the mass media spaces. They would never give a freed woman like me a voice like they do Joy Ann Reid. They would never give Arthur Ward a voice the way they listen to Roly Poly Martin. You have to understand that these are Black immigrants who don't give a damn about us. Africans, by and large, see us as a resource akin to trading us into slavery when they lost tribal wars. And so this is a problem when you start to whitewash history.
Right.
You believe that, oh, I descend from that kind of royalty. No, your people lost in the wars that were going on over there, and your ass got sold.
Right.
Okay. And so that's what we descend from. It doesn't mean that there was no greatness there, but we lost. And that's how we ended up here. And the rest is history. I also want you, when folks come for you and tell you they believe they're owed reparations, you let them know that immigration wasn't really a thing until after we were the shoes, okay? And they turned us away to our own devices to survive this jungle called America with 3 Ks. That was after the 65 Immigration Act. So you can't be held liable for people who chose to come and integrate themselves into Jim Crow. You tell them they fled their Holocaust. They left their poor behind, and now they want to come here and become us after our ancestors paid the cost through heinous chattel slavery. So when they come to you with this nonsense, you let them know that they didn't come over here until after the blood and the bones were already married to the soil by our ancestors, and that they fled their Holocaust, and in actuality, we are their reparations, family. I told you guys about the Color of Wealth LA and Boston reports from 2014. Caribbean immigrants with 12,000 liquid to freedmen, 700 liquid in Boston. And I share with you about Nigerians being 300 times more liquid at 60,000 compared to freedmen 200 liquid here in Los Angeles. So these are some of the ways you can respond to get them up off of you. They should be kissing your feet, not disparaging you. The fact that they're over here and are able to do far better than the majority of freedmen, okay, is their reparations. Well, did you want to add to that while I look through?
Well, you know what? The other thing too, Andrew, is that I don't fault the immigrants per se about their involvement in our reparations issue. I blame the Pan-Africans for that. And you got to remember, Brian Daniels and Cam Howard are freedmen. They're not they're not from the Caribbean. They're not from Africa. They're freedmen.
They're freedmen, Pan-Africanists.
Right.
And Ward Connerly was freedman too. He brought us Prop 209 to undo our affirmative action that now benefits everyone but us.
Right.
I'm going to have Black Diamond on to talk about how we need to let affirmative action die because of it benefiting everybody but us.
Right.
We need to let that die and come up with something else legislatively. Right. I want to go through this comment. I want to go back to what OG, O.L. Griffin, I call him OG. What's up, family? Says Cam Howard on February 4th, and I quote, "I think we're now in a posture to get the White House to move on H.R. 40, close quote. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee." This is what speaks to Arthur being here today.
Right.
And his rolling out a strategy for us to decimate and defeat this. We must get on the horns as early as tomorrow and sound the alarm, because they are, in fact, very close. Did you want to speak to that, Arthur?
Yeah. Basically, no, you just said everything. They are very close, but I want you to understand that they got us from both ends. If HR 40 passes, they got us from this end as far as enriching themselves and creating a situation where they're continuously getting money off of an issue for the last 4 years. Or on the other hand, and I'm quoting from the Naarc website, it is critical to recognize that direct benefits are insufficient to repair the underdevelopment and destruction of communities. Indeed, as expressed by Naarc's preliminary reparations program, no amount of material resources or monetary compensation can ever be sufficient restitution for the spiritual, mental, cultural, and physical damages inflicted on Africans. Notice they don't call us Americans, they call us Africans. By centuries of the Ma'afa. Ma'afa means the translated slave trade, the Holocaust of enslavement, and the institution of chattel slavery. Therefore, we renew the call for a national reparations trust authority to be the repository, custodian, and administrative body to receive monetary and material resources allocated by offending parties as restitution to repair the damages inflicted on the sons and daughters of Africans in America during centuries of oppression and exploitation. Whereas the Indian girl gets a check directly from the United States Treasury without the imposition of any kind of trust authority or any kind of Indian a bureau that would operate in this kind of way. I think we can be trusted with our own money.
Right. Yes. I wanted to go to that Indian piece. How much do Indians make monthly from casinos? These are tax-free casinos. I just wanted to.
No, it's not a set amount.
No, it varies, but it's
varies.
pretty lofty.
It's
here
what
it
I'm
says.
What I'm saying is like it depends on how much profit was made in the previous quarter. So let's say your check one quarter is 9,000. Your check in another quarter might be 20,000. It's a percentage. The money that they get off the casinos is a percentage of the profits that are generated in a quarter on a quarterly basis.
Right, but Arthur, it seems to me like when we were asking for reparations, Biden pivoted, to Mexicans,
Immigrants.
then he pivoted to Indians, but they've been getting repair and locking the Black descendant of Cherokee and Seminole enslavement out of access to that while making $5 white Indians under Dawes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that they continue to get money under the Biden administration, but they've received so much reparations since, wasn't that 1866? What was that? I'm trying to figure out.
The Dawes Act, that was 1866.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out when did it become law that Indians receive reparations? I'm trying to make a point that they continuously receive reparations to this day.
Right. I don't remember the exact year, but it was before the start of the 20th century.
Okay.
They've been receiving reparations before 1900.
Right. As Biden pivots when he was asked about freedmen reparations,
right.
Well, we've got to do something to make the Indians whole first. Huh? Right. You've been doing nothing but making them whole, many of whom were able to buy, buy Indian ethnicity, if you will, with $5. Right. While you continue, I mean, the descendants of Cherokee enslavement, those descendants just got the right to identify as Cherokee. They've been locked out of access to all of these reparations. What do you have to say to that, Arthur?
You know what? Maxine Waters finally got up here and stood up for that. I remember she was talking about how she would go against any further reparations for, was that a particular Indian tribe or was it all of them? I'm not sure if it was a blanket thing. If these people are not included in their reparations, and they had to fold and allow these people in the reparations. But I would say that these people, since a lot of them were enslaved by these same tribes, should be eligible for freedmen reparations as well, because it was all of those enslavements by American Indians of us happened under U.S. policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though they've been denied, I believe that they should have to be paid retroactively
I do
under the
too.
Indians.
I
Like,
do too. I do too.
you know,
Yes, they should be.
so
And
you
it should
believe
come
that they
directly
should.
from the government because the government kept allowing it to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to have to start getting litigious, family. That's what we're going to have to do. Well, with that being said, Arthur, we're at 125. I didn't mean to keep you 30 minutes over, but I do believe you addressed the other components of O.G. Griffin and what he expressed about how they're setting themselves up to get the bag with Ron Daniels' help.
Yeah.
You've already unpacked that pretty solid here this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Ron Daniels is the main guy. That's why I
Freedmen.
talk about him so much.
Freedmen,
And he's a
you
freedman.
see-
He's a freedman on both sides. So is Cam.
And you see how they're working
Yeah.
to undermine our own reparations, to line their own pockets, family.
Yeah.
We have
Cam
a lot of self-interested freedmen who are doing the bidding of our white oppressors. And this is why you've got so many people signing on to HR 40, because they know in the end we don't get anything anyway.
Right.
And they're probably more willing to pay them $20 million to sabotage us than they are the 6.2 quadrillion or greater that is owed.
Well, Cam got mad at me because I asked him was Dr. Hillary Beckles paying him in some kind of way. You know who?
No.
Do you know who Dr. Hillary Beckles is?
That name is so familiar. Could you break that down before I let you go?
He is the chancellor, the main guy that runs CARICOM. He is the guy that him and 4 of his associates were led into the HR 40 meetings, taking up seats that should have been taken up by American freedmen.
The ones that haven't sold out anyway.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. But yeah. And they were ushered in by Sheila Jackson Lee and her associates. So what are they doing? Why are these CARICOM people do? Why are they at the HR 40 hearings? Why are they there?
Yeah.
You know?
You're here. Thank you so much, Arthur Ward. Thank you, co-host. Thank you, viewers from ScrewTube and Facebook and Twitter. I so appreciate you being here. I thank you, Arthur Ward. I look forward to the next time. I really believe we need to do an all-out campaign, but
yeah, we need to get started on this now.
I've invited you to a very important meeting where I pray. Did you get that message, brother?
Yeah.
Okay, I pray you have it on your calendar.
Yeah.
And I'll get a link over to you, because I am really pushing to make this as big a sign to freedmen throughout the country as we did fix HR 40. This needs to be just as concerted an effort.
Right. I had actually made some people mad during the Fix HR 40 campaign because I had read HR 40 right after the first ADOS convention, because I never read it. And then when I read it, I started sounding the alarm. I was like, whoa, no. We can't do this. You know, and then I backed off a little bit because I understood at the time that Dr. Darity was trying to get these edits in, which would have fixed it actually. And then when I figured out that they're not hearing us, then I got on a personal campaign of we just got to trash this thing.
Period.
Even if we don't have a replacement, we have to trash this now.
Absolutely.
We got time to come up with another bill.
I appreciate you so much, Arthur Ward.
Okay.
And with that being said, I'm going to bid you farewell for the rest of your evening. I thank you, and I'll be in touch, family.
All right. Thank you. And you have a good one.
You too. Thank you. And with that being said, family, you know it's that hour that it's time for us to, bid each other farewell. I do want to tell you that I'm grateful to you for your comments, your input, and I'm prayerful that you'll help to make this go viral. Do know that I'm being shadow banned because I'm having these very important conversations. Oh, I do want to address Swanee G. He or she, I'm not sure, heard me speaking over in a nasty space in the Twitter house. We were dealing with the current bills that are seeking to legalize lynching of freedmen throughout the country. And I made mention over there that if you want to know my voter strategy, that you should come over here to this segment, because my voter strategy is very controversial. Family, which, and I do want to address him or her because they made the time to join me on this particular segment to specifically hear what my voter strategy is. Before I tell you what it is, before I pray us out, this is just a real short cliff note. The bottom line is we can no longer afford to stay home. It is imperative that we send a message to the Democrat Dixiecrats that we're not going to sit silently on the guillotine, or in the gas chamber, and allow them to continue to undermine us, to force us into a permanent bottom caste in the way that they've been doing. They're pretty much, grifting on the issues that plague us as a whole, all the while having us deliver them the White House. And then once in, they neglect us. And then they give our reparations and protections to the immigrant class and to line their own pockets. So number one, we cannot afford to stay home. We don't have that luxury. Number two, there are no agendas. As you see, the Democrat Dixiecrats, they lie about having agendas only to use you to deliver them the White House. And then they're giving you Maya Angelou on the back of coins with slaveholders on the front of them. Then they're giving you hip hop holidays and Juneteenth that we're already celebrating. Symbolism. The newest grift is, like I mentioned earlier in the show, Black female Supreme Court justices who are married to Zaddy, many of whom are Black immigrants. So you still got nothing coming. Just be able to recognize these grifts. The last thing I want to say about it before I roll out my strategy is the fact that the immigrants have a strategy. When they're earning under $50,000, they're voting for the Democrats. Why? Because the Democrats are giving them access to the country our ancestors built with their lives. But when they're 50,000 and greater, then they switch to the Republican Party. What I'm telling you is that a trifecta of either party is the death knell for freedmen. What I'm telling you is that we've got two very imminent threats here. We've got the race soldiers who were allowed, with our tax dollars, paying them to execute us with immunity. And now we've got bills that they're forcing, to make law that will allow them to deputize the KKK to execute us with immunity. That's what's happening right now. So we're really between a rock and a hard place, family. So what I'm recommending is, since we've been neutralized economically and since we've been gentrified out of our communities, we don't really have the numbers that Marcel Dixon, who is a closed border candidate, oh, by the way, he might be running as a Democrat, but he's definitely about closing the borders, okay? We sadly are being gentrified out of our communities. So we don't boast the numbers that Marcel Dixon has in terms of 57% Black electorate in Jim Clyburn's District 6. The other candidates that are running on reparations have to be for reparations and immigration, because they're running in communities where we're not the majority. And so they've got to have an all lives matter kind of approach to their platforms. That far too many of our candidates who are running on reparations don't have the luxury of a Marcel Dixon, where the majority of their district is Black. And that is fast changing. So what I'm recommending, let me make one more point before I make my recommendation. Have you ever noticed that when the Democrats have a trifecta, Not only do they lie and go back on everything they promised to usher us to the polls to vote them into the White House. So not only do they overpromise and underdeliver, have you ever noticed that freedmen are the only ones crying? We're the only ones still being executed by the race soldiers. We're the only ones still being denied access to an American wage. We're the only ones being denied access to American jobs. We are the only ones screaming about how bad our conditions have gone from bad to worse. Each and every time the Democrats have a trifecta, freedmen are the only ones crying. Well, when I created this channel a few years ago, it was about making the case for reparations and doing what? Weaponizing our vote and what? Socializing our suffering. With that being said, family, after much prayer over what to do with this vote, given all the chicanery I just spelled out to you in the aforementioned, I used to be mixed top, a red top and a blue Congress. I can't be about a blue Congress anymore because it's killing us. They're weaponizing immigration against us to ethnogenocide us right up out this piece till we are as few in number as the Indians, but they will not enrich us the way they have the Indians with our reparations. Indians that once owned us as slaves. That will not be it. Our lineage will just be through, okay? So I used to be on that, and then I had to go into the prayer closet given the plans of what's happening now with Biden and his whole entire administration, secretly flooding the country with immigrants. Also, what they're doing is there is a whitening of the browning of America with people that they can make white to stay in power. So they're now flooding the country during these night flights with Indians, Asians, and Latin Americans, people that have the complexion to make them white. So I had to pray because to me, that strategy of red top, blue Congress is keeping us in the gas chamber until we're finally extincted. So my new voter strategy is to only vote for closed border candidates. Party be damned. You got no agendas coming. You've got to show up to the polls to send a message to the Democrats that we were the ones to vote for the closed border candidates. That includes Marcel Dixon to replace Jim Clyburn, because that is another serious message that we as freedmen send to the Democrats. Now, you've got to grow a backbone akin to when our ancestors were Republican and changed to the Dixiecrats because they were supporting civil rights and the Republicans were not. So we've got to use the Republicans to get the Democrats to do a damn thing for us while we're still the second largest majority and while the immigrants' votes are split between the red and the blue. We must weaponize the vote and socialize the suffering with closed border candidates. Party be damned. With that being said, family, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Know that if nobody told you today, family, that I love you black, yes, I do. I love you so strong, family, yes, I do. I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your week, rest of your evening. Know that I'll be back probably before next Sunday. I've got a lot of news, that I've got to record through a Freedman lens, and it just can't seem to all get done on Sunday. I'm bidding you adieu, family. I'm bidding you peace, love, and reparations. Thank you.